We thought he was gone, but we were wrong.
Oh God, he's back!
Maybe not quite there yet.
Nope,
but,
Brady's coming back for another 20 years.
Brady's coming
He's
back
he's
for
never
sure.
dead. He's never going to. He's
Yep,
never
he's
going to
gonna
leave
play
us the
into
hell
his
alone.
70s. So this is how you can tell we're in like peak, and we're getting right into the swing of off-season news, where a podcast episode from Deep Cut with Vic Blends is making top NFL headlines. But Brady was on that podcast recently, and he was asked by, this guy.
This guy.
Yeah, you can see. He's asked basically in this situation, like, if there were a quarterback, like there's a team that's going into the playoffs and the quarterback's got hurt and they need someone as an emergency, basically, would Brady come in? Like, would Brady pick up the phone and actually play for a team again at age, what is he, 46?
Whatever age he is.
46, 47?
Yeah, doesn't matter. You get the gist.
Yeah. You get the gist. He's old.
Yeah.
But he basically said, yeah, he's not opposed to it. He listed potential teams as the guy, the podcast host, brought up
49ers.
the Niners.
And then he brought up New England.
Yeah. And as well as the Raiders.
Yeah.
And Brady's main, I can read the whole quote in terms of what Brady said. So he said, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know if they're going to let me if I become an owner in the NFL. I'm always going to be in good shape, always be able to throw the ball. So to come in for a little bit, like MJ coming back, I don't know if they let me, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing it. And before we get to the MJ part, because I know you have something to say about that.
Yeah.
To clear up the owner side of it, it's because Brady purchased a stake in the Raiders, I believe, when he was still a player. It hasn't been finalized yet, but now that he's not playing anymore, it's looking more and more like that's going to go through. And so I think this article from The Score that I pulled says that it could happen, but he would basically need to have votes from like a 2/3 majority of owners to be able to play. Which
and I'm sure okay. I was gonna say, do you really think all the owners are gonna be okay with like New England bringing back, like they're approving?
Yeah, because the Patriots are shit.
Okay, but let's say in this scenario we're suggesting in this hypothetical, Patriots are going into the playoffs without a quarterback. Going in, keyword, into the playoffs. They are in the playoff race, going into the playoffs without a quarterback. Do you really think all the other owners are going to say yes? Yes, let them have the GOAT. Even if he's 47 or whatever.
Yeah, because he's 47. I don't think they'd care.
Okay, well, then there you go.
I don't know. Because, I mean, even at the end of his Tampa Bay time, you could tell, like, he's not the same.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think obviously Brady is going to be better than whatever backup you have. Like, if again, it's the same example the guy gives, but if the Chiefs have Mahomes go down, like, and they call Brady, he's going to be better than what Carson Wentz can put out there, probably, right?
He'll probably throw less picks, I guess.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And especially in the playoffs, because, that's where Brady makes his money, right?
Yeah.
That's why he's been so good, is because of how good those teams were in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I know it's not something that is probably going to happen.
No.
It's entirely a hypothetical situation, kind of designed to make headlines in the offseason. But it's an interesting one. And again, he brought up the example of like MJ coming back with the Wizards after retiring, and judging by your reaction, I don't think that
didn't go well.
Yeah,
that didn't really go well for MJ, did it? That's what I think is funny. It's basically in the quote he makes it sound like MJ heroically came back for the team that he owned and carried the Wizards to a championship. No, MJ came back to the Wizards, sucked for 2 years, and he didn't suck, but he didn't do anything. He didn't really do it. He was fine. Yeah, he put up like 18 points and then retired 2 years later. Like, for a lot of people, it ruined MJ for a little bit. A lot of people, really including MJ, by the way, like to pretend that Wizards run never happened. That's why
Yeah.
the whole last dance is what it is, right? Because everyone wants to pretend that MJ ran out into the sunset when in reality, no, no, he really didn't, right? Like it's,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think the one difference
go
in
ahead.
that comparison would be in terms of like it not being two full seasons, because I think the hypothetical that the guy presents is the only way that he will ever come back.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think he'd come back for
because
a full season. I don't think he
I
could. I
he
don't think
would
a team would give
he
him the
won't.
chance to.
There would be a team. There would be a team who would give him a chance. But I don't think he would want to do that at this point. But I do think if it's a one game playoff thing and they lose and he plays bad, nobody's going to care. Like, it's not going to affect his legacy at all. It'll be like, well, he came back and he tried and that was a cool novelty. It's not going to be like we saw him every Sunday and was like, oh my God,
And
he's terrible, get
and
us
he
up.
just like looked like a shadow of himself.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be that. It would be like, oh, it was an experiment for one game. It's like when Marshawn Lynch came back for the Seahawks. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
When
In
when
that
Beast
sense,
Mode came
sure.
back,
Yeah, scored
Beast
one
Mode came back
touchdown.
like week 16, got a touchdown against the Niners, and that's all I needed, really.
Yeah,
It's like you get your little hit of nostalgia, and it was like at the Seahawks, like actually, the more I think about it, a good comparison, because thinking back to that season, the reason they signed Beast Mode back was because literally
injuries.
every one of their
Yeah.
running backs was injured. It was like Chris
You
Carson
know what?
injured, Rashad Penny injured, like I don't know if they had Travis Homer yet or whatever, whoever their
No,
third running back was injured.
I don't
It might
remember who
it
it
might have been
was.
his rookie year, because I think it was 2019.
Okay.
But
Well, you know what? You know what's the
um,
thought that I? You know what's my memory of that of his comeback
mm,
is if that was 2019, that would have been Madden 20, I guess. So Madden 20, they put him in the game, but in EA's infinite wisdom, they didn't think, "Oh no, this is an older beast mode coming back. Let's put a 90 overall beast mode on the Seahawks." And I just remember having a lot of fun in online for like
oh
the
yeah.
2 weeks that was the case for, because I mean, they quickly adjusted his overall after that, but there's like a 1 week, like it was probably the week 16 or week 17 roster of that,
Before
where
he
it was
actually
just like
played, yeah.
88 overall beast mode on like the Seahawks. Yeah, that was a fun Madden year.
Yeah.
That's my memory of that comeback, but otherwise, anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
But to the point of that, it's like that doesn't affect how people see
no,
Marshawn
no,
Lynch,
not at all.
right? And it's the same kind of thing where injuries kind of forced him back into it, and he was like, sure, why not?
I also
And
think that
just kind of like,
Marshawn Lynch is more of a why not kind of guy than Brady is. I think it has to have a realistic outcome. I don't think Brady would come back if he didn't think that he could go out there and win it. I don't think Marshawn went out there
well,
thinking he
I
was going to win the starting
well,
job back. I think he went out there for shits and
I
giggles.
think I think you go all the way to the other side with Brady though, because Marshawn would be like, "Fuck it, we ball. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna do it anyway." Brady would be like, "I don't care how old I am. I'm gonna win it."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think it would matter what situation you put him in. He probably thinks he can win the Super Bowl. Um, the one other thing
Fair
to
enough.
consider in this is the Fox money that he's got laying on the table
Yeah.
to do broadcasting. That would be the one thing where I'd see, like, because he's going to be their number one analyst, right? We've talked about this, like, just the injustice that Greg Olson is getting booted from the booth in favor
And
of
now
Brady.
their number one pride and joy analyst who probably won't even be good at it. We'll see. Like
Yeah.
like
maybe by the end of the season, if there's an injury, Fox wants him out, and they're like, Greg Olson, please come back for the playoffs. Maybe it'll be good for all parties, but
maybe he'll just wear a microphone underneath his helmet.
it's like, who's the other
It
guy
goes
in the-
it goes
in the
from
Fox
it goes from sideline reporter to on field reporter.
There's a Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson. So it's like Kevin Burkhardt's like trying to talk to Brady while he's on the field. Like, you see, Kevin, what are you doing? Ah, fuck. Like, you see, Kevin, you got the corner blitz over there, and then you got this motherfucker coming me down.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
like,
it's just like the thing where they like draw on the screen, right? Where it's just like it's Brady breaking down why he got threw an interception, It was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know, I was like, if you watch him, he's cutting across the middle here, and then this asshole,
Yeah.
and then this asshole
Look at
just
the playbook. Look at the playbook. He's supposed to be here, and he's not.
he wasn't quick enough. He didn't get to the right spot. That you can't say that wouldn't be absolute comedy, but oh,
I'd watch that.
I would too. That'd be awesome.
Probably going to be way more than any games he's way more entertaining than any games he's actually going to commentate. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, we'll see how good he actually is. I don't really have high hopes. He doesn't really seem like he doesn't seem like the type.
He doesn't have the character. He doesn't have the charisma.
No. Like, Tony Romo has that. Like, I would give that to him. Like, I don't necessarily think he's the best announcer in the world, but I still think that he's good enough.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. We have no clue.
No, I'm talking about Romo,
We haven't
not
heard.
Brady.
Oh, Romo. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I think he's fine, but he's like I don't know.
I think Romo was good, but I really like Romo. I think I like Romo a lot more than other people. Like, obviously he's not perfect, but
Yeah.
I just think he just loves football so much, and
Yeah.
is infectious, and that's what I like.
Okay,
about it.
and that
He's
is
not
fair.
perfect. Like, I don't think he's I don't think he's
I just
necessarily
mean-
like a good announcer in terms of like the professional side of it.
And that's what I was
But
about
think
to say.
he has. I
Yeah.
think he has the enthusiasm that makes up for it, in my opinion. I know
Yeah.
not all people feel the same way.
Well,
I
I
don't
just
think Brady has that.
no.
Brady likes the game. He's not people like, oh, Jim, I don't know, Jim.
Yeah, I was gonna say fundamentally I don't think he's that good of an announcer, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like he has that other side that really you is so rare. Like I think that's just I think it's such just a fun I don't know. When you can tell that the person's having fun calling it, I think that definitely does come across, right? Like that's
Yeah.
like so yeah, I definitely get what you mean for that. But yeah, I don't think Brady has that at all. I think Brady has his moments.
it's more like
I think
Drew
he
Brees.
can be a funny guy, but like
Yeah.
I no, I can't imagine him going, Jim, look at it, look what's happening out there, Jim.
Yeah,
Watch this,
I
Jim.
can't
It's gonna
see
be
that.
play action.
Oh, look at the motion, Jim. He's moving over. Yeah,
He's moving around.
I can't see Brady. I feel like the one thing I'm scared of is that he's going to be like Drew Brees. I had such high hopes for Drew Brees as a analyst, but it was just like too technical almost
Yeah.
to where he wasn't exciting. Right.
Yeah, and I can see that with Brady.
I think for Brady to work, it would probably he'd have to be in the middle. Where honestly, like I think Chris Collinsworth is probably one of the guys who does it best. Where like Chris Collinsworth, obviously former player, knows his shit, but he
Yeah.
also like gets into the game. He's not Tony Romo levels, but you know, like he's still got his quirks. Like like here's a guy, like all the Chris Collinsworth things. Like he's got some energy to him.
Yeah.
I'm scared that Brady will not have that, and it'll just be
Yeah.
boring and like
And
bad.
he's going to be, and this is the thing that I've said. I've had to teach a lot of people how to do this type of, like, just like play-by-play and stuff like that in the last year. And the way that I've kind of explained it to a lot of people is just that, to simplify it as much as possible, there is two styles. There is your yelling WWE announcer, oh, he's at the top rope, and like all of that. And then there's the other side of things where it's your boring, like just going through the motions, analytical announcer. And there you can, if you could probably think in your head of people who are really good on this side of the spectrum, people who are really good on this side of the spectrum, and people who are really good in the middle. And I think the hardest part as an early announcer is trying to figure out where you land on that spectrum for a lot of people.
A good point.
Which I think that Brady is going to be way over here in like the analytical.
I think so
Like I don't think he's gonna have a lot of energy. I think if he can find that energy and surprise a lot of people, then he probably can be good. But
Yeah, I agree with. I'd be interested to hear your opinion on this. As someone who is like currently in school and getting consistent practice at broadcasting,
yeah,
what do you think it means for Brady to just literally go into the biggest job in the world with no prior experience? Like how does that work? Like think about you commentating your first game and putting that on a stage in front of like
okay, that would have been ugly.
10 million people.
To be fair, like It'd be different if he was doing. He's an analyst. He's not a play-by-play commentator. There is a big difference.
Right.
If he was doing play-by-play, he would land on his face immediately. Like that's something that's color.
There's a reason that the former players don't do that.
Exactly. Right. Play-by-play is not something you can go. Like there are people. I have seen people who are just naturally good at it, and it's usually pretty impressive. But even the people who are naturally good at it right off the jump, which I was not at all. So I'm very thankful my first game was not on Fox. But like it's most of the people I've seen that they still don't have that thing. Like they're always just missing that. Like I've seen people who are like technically really good play-by-play like people. Like they know exactly what to talk about. Their pacing's really good and all that, but they don't have the energy. Like I've seen that in the last little bit. And that or they'll be the other way around where they're like so much energy, but they have no idea what they're talking about. Like they went into it full confidence and I respect the crap out of that, but you got to work on some like a few minor things, right?
You got to do some research.
Yeah, there's usually like something missing there. Like with with color it's a little different. Like, if you have the knowledge for it, a good play-by-play commentator can make you look good. Look like you know what you're talking about.
And Kevin Burkhardt is a very good play-by-play.
Then there you go. Right? Like, I don't think Tom Brady will look bad unless he actually is just boring. Like, most of the best color commentators are good at it because they're really entertaining speakers.
Yes, and that is the fear because we talked about with a good play-by-play guy covering for him. Drew Brees is the example I keep getting up, and he had Mike Tirico, who's doing Sunday Night Football now, right? Mike Tirico is a very good play-by-play guy. Yeah, but Drew Brees still got axed after a year.
That's why I've worked with color people who are very analytical, and I think that's the side that most people go with it. I've also worked with people who are very high energy with it, and those people are so fun to work with. Like the people who are they're basically just comedians, like as color people. And Brady's just not that. Like if there's a world where Brady can like bring some comedy into that side of thing and like he'll maybe have a bit of charisma with it, he'll be good at it. He'll be fine. But like I think color, I just want to emphasize the fact that the hardest part about color is knowing your shit. Brady knows his shit. That box is checkmarked, right? That's the easy part.
That was never in question.
That was never in question. It's just how he can kind of show it. Like it's just how charismatic you are after that when it comes to that type of thing. And I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
He has some funny stuff out there that I think we've all seen of him pretty much telling Josh Allen that someone's gonna leave him and stuff like that. Like there's clips out there of Brady being a funny guy, but he seems more like a funny dad whenever I watch anything that he does.
And that could be fun.
That could be fun.
That energy is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I'm not saying it's hopeless. I just think I think that the odds are not in his favor necessarily, but it's been done by a lot of people. Like there's a reason a lot of color analysts for the last 50 years have been former players. There's a reason it's done over and over and over again, and it's because it works. Right? Like it does work because there's no one who can tell you more about the game than someone who is out there.
Than someone who's been there.
Yeah,
that's very true.
So, I mean, who knows? But
there's a reason it's not always the most famous. There's a reason it's a guy like Chris Collinsworth, who wasn't the famous quarterback. It's because he's got other skills. Also, just to wrap up the whole conversation, I think it's probably a pretty good indication of how likely Brady is to come back that we spent most of this conversation talking about his broadcasting.
That's probably the more interesting part of the conversation. I actually did forget that was where this conversation started.
Yeah.
Brady coming back? Hell no. Put on a mic, asshole.
That's probably what's going to happen. Again, it's another one that's an interesting hypothetical, but probably not realistic.
No, the funny thing is I'm a lot more excited to listen to what he sounds like on a mic than on the field.
Too. I honestly
I don't feel the need to see him throw 20-yard checkdowns again. I'm okay. Like it's not like that's an exciting outcome. It's not like he was ever the most exciting player in the last couple of years.
Throwing slants to Rashee Rice in January. Oh
boy. yeah, exactly. Like, oh god, I hope not. Unless he's really bad in the commentary booth, then maybe that'd be like a funny moment. Like we were talking about, like Tony Romo going, "Oh Jim, oh Jim." No, it'd be the opposite, where it's just like, "Oh Jim, I have to leave the booth. You know, this season has been so fun, and I will forever honor our memories up here in the booth. But I must go football now." And
Except that he's got a contract, so
yeah. Everyone
if it doesn't go
involved.
well, it's really gonna not go well.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose Greg Olsen, and they're gonna be like, well,
Oopsie doopsie. That's not good.
yeah.
Which sucks, because, I mean, I don't think... The fact that Greg Olsen was actually good at it is kind of just depressing for Fox, because I don't know... Other than that first game, are that many more people going to be tuning in because the color commentator's Tom Brady? Like, past game... Once the novelty kind of falls off, like, past, like, let's say, like, past game 3, I don't think it matters.
I think they're just I don't think they're betting on him drawing in people necessarily. I feel like they're betting on him being good.
Which is kind of sad, because they had someone who was good.
It's not a good bet.
No,
it's not a good bet.
You're betting.
It's not saying
you're
it
betting
can't
on the
happen, but
GOAT
it's not a
being
good
the
bet.
GOAT of commentary. Which, I mean,
You can't. It's hard being the GOAT of.
I will say, if he actually wants to be good at it, like if he is going into this with the same, like, you know, work ethic he went into football
this year to like prepare and research.
Oh,
Like,
well then
apparently
sweet.
He's been really serious about
Okay,
it.
well then, you know what? If he's legitimately serious about it, I think he'll be good at it. Because I'm personally just a believer that, like, for example, with my personal broadcasting career so far, that I have no skill. It's all just been me beating my skull into a wall until I eventually figured it out. Like, I just think if as my piece of advice from doing it for the last 2 years would just be like, if you work at it, you'll figure it out, right? Like, eventually you get there, and I'm sure he'll get there, but
yeah,
we'll see how much skill he has from the jump.
Gotten some practice. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, lack of practice is going to be a big thing, but we'll see.
Well, it's just, again, how serious is he taking it? And if he's taking it serious, he'll be good. If he isn't, he won't be.
Tom Brady, he's taking it seriously.
Well, then there you go.